I'm doing a quick video on how I apply my REPASHY, the vitamin A plus and the Reptile HERPTIVITE with beta carotene vitamins to my toadies' water instead of on their worms, on their live foods. They are under their leaves. And they're sleeping together, side by side. I don't put it on the worms because I find that it bothers them. I don't use the crickets anymore because every time I get them, they're stinky. They die so fast. They're dragging their legs all over the place, and unless I can grow them myself, I'm not going to. I give them darkling beetles, the adults. I give them the dubia juveniles, various sizes. But I'm going to show you how I do it. I keep their water like this. I use spring water in their dish. I am changing this dish as soon as I can to a ceramic or a not a see-through glass dish, but an opaque one, a dark one. They feel more comfortable in a dark color when they are in water. When they're when it's light color, they do go in it, but they avoid it more. I just feel they don't feel comfortable. This kind of plastic is actually, I didn't realize, is one of the worst kinds of recycled bit plastics you can buy. You should not eat out of it. This is like an emergency thing. I need to get replaced. But for now, it's their water. So I don't use a clear one because the light will trap moisture. It'll like promote mold and things much more readily. Opaques are better so that it doesn't just create a terrarium for mold. I'm using Josh's Frog soil that I've baked. I've baked it at 230 degrees for an hour and a half. This way I don't have mold problems, and baking makes managing the soil for a longer period of time more doable. It neutralizes the live stuff, which you can always put back in it if you want to, but currently I'm at this stage where I'm only using soil, no other levels below the substrate. So I want to manage mold. There's nothing living in it unless I put some dubias loose. I don't want to turn there's different reasons why I don't put the live animals in there frequently. I don't mind the dubias, but I definitely don't want mealworms growing in there. They are super aggressive breeders. Let's just put it that way. Super aggressive. When they have babies, they have literally tons and tons of babies. So I don't want terrible overgrowth, but even a baking, can neutralize all that stuff. Anyway, this is a video about the HERPTIVITE and the REPASHY. So to put the vitamins in the water, I use a fluffy brush, and I use the fluffy brush so it won't pick up much. Make sure that it's free of anything it might have accidentally grabbed a hold of. And I go in. Now I do the HERPTIVITE about this much, okay? for that much water. And I do this every time I change the water, every time. I try to get all of it in there. Okay, I'll show you again. I'm not doing it twice, I'm just showing you again. A little bit more than that. Yeah, just about that much. So it's kind of pushed into the bristle a little bit. And I'm going to put it back. Like I said, I don't dust the live because they seem to be irritated by it. And they don't eat them right away. I never know which ones they're going to eat. Some move, some don't. So I put plenty of them in there so that they will just kind of tap it so it's flush. And this one, you don't want a whole lot either. This can be very toxic to them. See, this is way too much. And I might not even use all of this on the brush, but I need some of it to be able to let go. I want to see it on the surface. It seemed like it was good. Okay, that's about enough. And then just stir it in. The reason I don't put it in their soil too is because it could burn them, you know. It's diluted here, won't burn them. But in soil like that, really strong direct contact, it could. If they climb into their food, they could be climbing into stuff that irritates their skin. I also don't use any dechlorinator. What I do is I buy spring water. I don't use a dechlorinator in there anymore because they don't need the slime on their body like fish do. And I think that it, you know, their skin has pores and things like that. They need to be able to breathe. They don't need to be coated. And what I researched on the dechlorinator, like straight clean dechlorinator, is very hard to find. The one that doesn't have the slime built into it, but the slime stuff is a salt-based. They don't need salt. They don't need high blood pressure. They don't need to get heavy on anything. They don't need that kind of salt. So their salts can come from their foods depending on what you give them. Like they aren't a creature that needs a lot of salt. There's already salts in their soil naturally, so they don't need. And this way, when I give them the vitamin in the water, their bugs are not irritated. They don't have any funny flavors they might want to avoid and not eat because, or push off eating because they don't like the flavor. So if you ever eat a vitamin, just take a vitamin, put it in your mouth and chew it. You're not gonna like it. I mean, you got to think sensibly. They can be so hungry that they can't prevent themselves from eating when they need to, but flavor-wise, I think they enjoy their natural flavor of their food. And they don't have taste buds when they drink their water in their drinking patch. So anyway, that's the way I do it. You do the way you think. You was putting the food on here, and because sometimes it affects the way it affects them, too much, too little, whatever, you can't ever get the same exact amount. You're putting, they end up going to sleep and doing weird behavior, like they just get still. Like if you give them lettuce, they get still and they get inactive. Right now it's daytime, so they're starting to be inactive. I use a little spritz of distilled water. The thing with distilled water, though, why you don't want to use it in the drinking water is because it it's magnet to the molecules, so it'll suck it'll suck the molecule nutrients out of your toadie's body, because it has to have it has to balance itself. You can do the research yourself. It sterile water, distilled water, is evaporated, and it leaves behind all the minerals. So once it's back in contact with any mineral, it attaches itself to it. So when your toadie has mineral in their body, the distilled water will attach itself to those minerals and draw it out of their body. So you want like mineralized water, or spring water, something that won't suck it out but will give it to them. There is distilled water in the soil, but it's mostly attaching itself to the minerals in the soil rather than in your toadies. So it's a whole lot, it's like really, really almost neutralized. It's magnetic, or polar, I don't know the right term, polarizing, or whatever that is that makes the mineral attached to the water. Anyway, that's it, I think. Use a fluffy brush, it's better. And be sure to stir the water after you put it in. Definitely chlorinate your water if you're using tap water. Try to look for one that doesn't have the slime thing in it, which it's hard to find that. I know that with some fish like betas, that slime can make a surface on the top of the water and make it really hard for them to come up and get their air. I've lost a couple betas in the past, decades ago, due to that film, and you have to be really wary of it. So I don't recommend it for toads, and I don't recommend it for betas, but other fish can benefit from it. I prefer to put sea salt in their water rather, it's mineral. It's mostly potassium. You gotta watch that too. But the type of salt you can buy for saltwater fish in your pet store is good salt to use for your fish, instead of putting the slime stuff in, because it'll naturally slime it in the correct way. There's no slime in the water, in the ocean or in the lakes. You touch it and it's sometimes they're more acidic than alkaline, so when you're adjusting the alkaline the right way, you will get the correct body slime. I would recommend the type of slime that comes in those bottles for fish who are having problems with body ailments. So and depending, you might not want to be adding that sort of thing when you're trying to treat them for parasites. It might protect the parasites. So, but I would say definitely treat them without it, and once they're treated, give them that. Salt can treat a lot of parasites. Acidic water can treat a lot of parasites. So just adjusting acidity and alkalinity can treat parasites, and that's true in any setting. It doesn't matter where you're at. So there's a lot to know. This didn't turn out to be a very short video, sorry, but I hope that it informs you, and I hope that it helps you. So these are the products that I use right here. I use the vitamin A. It helps their tongue strength. You have to be careful of the lights. Certain lights cause vitamin A absorption, which can be harmful. So you need to do your research on the lights. That's for another video. But your lighting, So if your lighting doesn't help them absorb enough vitamin A, or if it helps them absorb too much and they start getting sick from it, you can do your lighting, but lighting is harder to control than supplement. So you can, you might have to use your lighting and can't just turn it off, where the Repashy, you can limit it, and that is again the vitamin A. That's for when you see your toadies are lethargic, have weak muscles, or a weak tongue punch. I think because these are Europeans, they have a different requirement than an American toad, and they're just not getting in these soils and these environments the sort of nutrient that they were getting in Europe near the ocean. So I think they're kind of near the ocean. They like to find the little those little pools, the little quiet pools. That's where they lay their eggs. So it's like a semi-salt, and yeah. So anyways, salts are better than artificial slime. So that's it. Write anything if you have questions, or wish for a bit more research on a particular thing that has to do with this video, or your questions regarding these subjects. Let me know. But I hope that it helps. That's the main purpose I'm doing this.